Well, Rex, I walked around with Rory today, and I noticed in his bag that he's got a new driver, 2 new fairway woods, and a brand new 3-iron as well. And I asked Rory, has he been testing these clubs that he's putting into play for the first time here in 2025? And he said, yeah, I've been testing since November of last year. The problem is I couldn't get the right ball driver or ball club combination to work. Now, he did change his golf ball at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and that golf ball, he says, after going through some more testing, has finally matched up, and that is why he's putting this new equipment in the bag here at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. And he seems very bullish on this equipment, and from what I saw off the tee today, if he drives it like he did in the Pro-Am Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, he is going to be a very tough guy to beat here once again. Now, Rory McIlroy is heavily involved in the politics of the deal between the PGA Tour, the negotiating deal between the PGA Tour and the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. He has always been a proponent of the PGA Tour and an opponent of LIV Golf, saying he would never go over to LIV Golf. He's been very vocal about that. He is on what is called the Transaction Subcommittee of the PGA Tour. He is part of a committee that actually negotiates on the PGA Tour's behalf with the Saudis, trying to get this deal done. Now, yesterday here in the Media Center, Jay Monahan and the PGA Tour proudly talked about the success that the PGA Tour is having so far in 2025, saying that over the last 3 months they have generated north of $400 million in new revenue, and we've seen that with the announcement of Valspar extending its sponsorship for the event in Tampa, with 3M extending its sponsorship for the event in Minnesota, and more announcements are coming down the road. And also we have seen an increase in TV ratings, double-digit increase in 2025 compared to 2024. So there is a lot of momentum with the PGA Tour. And just about an hour ago, Rory McIlroy was asked here in the Media Center, given this momentum, does the PGA Tour really need a deal with the Public Investment Fund?
I think the narrative around golf, I wouldn't say needs a deal. I think the narrative around golf would welcome a deal in terms of just having all the best players together again. But I don't think the PGA Tour needs a deal. I think the momentum is pretty strong, as you say. You know, TV's been good. TGL's been hopefully pretty additive to the overall situation. And yeah, I would say, again, I answered this question in Torrey Pines 2 weeks ago. Before, the landscape might have looked a little different then than it does now over these past couple of weeks. And I think a deal would still be the ideal scenario for golf as a whole. But from a pure PGA Tour perspective, I don't think it necessarily needs it.
You said something about a bit of a sense of a different feeling with how you felt about reunification of the game, or the PGA Tour maybe doesn't need it as much. What has changed in those couple of weeks? Can you share an insight as to?
Look, I think it takes two to tango. So if one party is willing and ready and the other isn't, it sort of makes it tough.
All right, we'll wrap with Doug right here.
Just to be clear, when you mention ideal scenario as a deal, any deal in your mind involves players getting together more than 4 times a year, not so much investment.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Can you figure out how that happens?
I mean, their $1 billion would be nice too,
yeah,
but like more.
We'd all take it, sure. Can you figure out how that happens as it relates to LIV, or have you given any thought to that?
I gave a lot of thought to it a couple of years ago, but less now. No, I mean, like you could create exemption categories that try to capture who you want to capture. Major winners in the last 3 years plus player champions. I don't know, but yeah, that's again, not my department.
Does it seem farther away than it did?
I don't think it's ever felt that close, but yeah. It doesn't feel like it's any closer.
Now, Rory McIlroy and all of those involved in this possible deal have been very open in saying they do not want to negotiate this deal in public. And that's very true. But it was interesting hearing Rory McIlroy say, quote, "It takes two to tango." intimating that the PGA Tour is really bringing a lot of energy to these negotiations, and the Public Investment Fund is not. No scheduled meeting, no in-person meeting at least, is on the docket right now. Of course, the PGA Tour having this event, the Players next week, LIV has an event this week and next week as well. So we will see how this story continues to develop. Guys?
Thank you, Todd. The alarm bells start going off when you hear Rory say that. Do you agree with Rory that they don't need, being the operative word, a deal with LIV and the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia?
I don't know. I think it leaves golf in a very difficult position, and I'll go to Fan Forward, which is the initiative that the tour started last year, and I think 50,000 fans have been polled, and it's very interesting takes that fans want. Some things they want, some things they don't want. The number that stands out, and that to me is 70% of those fans want reunification. And we can sit and go back and forth exactly what that looks like, and I certainly appreciate when Rory talks about the idea that maybe it doesn't happen, but two tours running on parallel tracks, continuing to where we are right now. I just told you the story about being at the Travelers Championship on Monday. That only has to happen once or twice a year to be a problem. So no, I don't think that's realistic. And I'll go back to something else Rory said was things look different now than maybe they did a few weeks ago. The commissioner spoke to a group of reporters yesterday and was kind of asked a similar question. That has anything changed? Has the vibe in the room changed since that second meeting in the White House? And the commissioner sort of dismissed the idea. Dismiss everything else we've been told. Don't even listen to what Rory just said. If I told you that both sides were in the White House, in the Oval Office, with the President of the United States for over 3 hours and didn't seem to get anything accomplished, that is concerning.
Agree. And it's like, what could have happened the past few weeks that would have Rory singing a completely different tune than maybe what we were hearing in the golf world leading up to that meeting a month ago? In my opinion, the quiet part out loud, based on 70% of fans wanting reunification, and you don't want to be going up against a competitor with that type of bankroll. Yes, I do think they need reunification for the greater good of the game to bring all these stars in-house. I understand that they want a deal constructed that would most benefit the current structure for the PGA Tour going forward, and you have two competing visions trying to come in. But yes, I do think long-term you need reunification. Can they survive in the short term? 100%. And I think they have been resilient the past year or two, but if LIV is going to be something that is viable for 5-10 years, you don't want them to have this attrition of stars over time that are built up on the PGA Tour and then cash out on the LIV Golf Tour.
And to be completely fair, equal time here, the governor of the Public Investment Fund doesn't really speak in public about this. Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, Rory McIlroy, people on the tour, they're kind of forced into a corner. They have to at least address it. They can talk around it and say we're not going to negotiate in public, but they can't duck it entirely the way the Public Investment Fund can. So we don't know what the other side of this story is. I'm sure there's another version of how these negotiations go, and I can only imagine how complicated these are. I've spoken with people who have negotiated multi-billion-dollar deals, and then you factor in the emotions of what it would be like to try to bring those LIV players back and how the players who stayed probably wouldn't want that to happen. So I know this is very, very difficult, and this is the conversation that comes up on tour all the time. The idea that, the Public Investment Fund will get tired of spending money and they'll just go away. I've not seen that yet. You are what your record says you are, and they've invested, according to various reports, by the end of this year, $5 billion in LIV.
And I was hearing that in 23. Oh, well, they'll probably be done by 24. Now they'll be done by 25. Now they're signing an extension with the government of Southern Australia for LIV Golf Adelaide to 2031. I don't think you're making those type of moves if you think the league's going to sunset at the end of this calendar year or next. Every move they're making is longer term for LIV Golf.